It's March 14th, 2014, and this is the Fortean Slip News.
And from the epochtimes.com, Malaysia Airlines flight MH370, apparently UFO and alien conspiracy theories emerge after the plane's disappearance. Some people, including UFO investigative organizations, are looking into suggestions that UFOs or extraterrestrials have abducted Malaysia Airlines flight MH370, which disappeared last week without a trace. The Mutual UFO Network.
Who do we call in for this? Do we call in Liam Neeson? Because the plane's been taken?
The Mutual UFO Network, or MUFON, Executive Director Jan C. Harzan said, "We have not received any UFO reports from that region during the time of the flight or around the time period where it disappeared. Historically, there are very few UFO cases where airlines are involved and then it just disappears." The Huffington Post interviewed the Pennsylvania head of MUFON on Thursday. Between black boxes, transponders, radar, debris fields, explosions, and missile strike signatures, evidence is always left behind, MUFON's Pennsylvania State Director John Venter said. The one explanation that some researchers are considering is that the plane and its passengers were abducted by extraterrestrials.
Do you think his voice came over the loudspeaker and was like, "I want you to listen to me very closely. You're about to be taken"?
He added, the U.S. military monitors everything using sonar, radar, and satellites. I'm certain our satellites observed what really happened.
They're going to stick things in your ass.
I'm certain our satellites observed what really happened, but that's a truth that can't be revealed.
Yeah, I hear the Malaysian sex slave market is huge in the universe.
According to an editorial on MUFON's website, UFO activity should be questioned in the plane's disappearance.
Why? Because that's what they do.
One of the rumors about aliens abducting the plane originated on satire website National Report, which says there is only one possible answer: aliens. The website has a disclaimer which reads, "National Report is a news and political satire web publication which may or may not use real names, often in semi-real or mostly fictitious ways. All news articles contained within National Report are fiction and presumably fake news." However, U.S. investigators are saying that the plane likely flew on for hours after it reached its last confirmed location, according to the Wall Street Journal. The paper cited people familiar with the investigation who said the plane went on for hundreds of miles. The investigators believe that the plane flew for a total of up to 5 hours. According to these people, based on analysis of signals sent by the Boeing BA 1.99% 777 satellite communication link designed to automatically transmit the status of certain onboard systems to the ground. After the plane disappeared, a massive international search has yielded few results. And from AL.com, from Huntsville, Alabama. In Huntsville, native Brian Steele's family, you either teach school, work for the government, or build houses. Brian is a 29-year-old U.S. Army aviation logistician for Hawk Enterprises, who has done a little of all three, and he's ready to break through the confines of his cubicle and venture into something a bit sweeter with his wife, Natalie. The married couple is on the cusp of launching a rolling food trailer that will serve donuts and hot coffee in South Huntsville. The trailer will be called Bigfoot's Little Donuts. A title, Bigfoot's Little Donuts.
Bigfoot's Little Donut.
Yes. A title inspired by Brian's love for the 1987 Bigfoot fantasy comedy starring actor John Lithgow. "I've always thought Bigfoot was funny," Brian said. "Maybe it's because I'm on I'm of the Harry and the Hendersons generation. It just cracks me up a little bit.
Is that what we refer to that generation as now?
The newly renovated food trailer, which will open by the end of March at the Southeast Plaza complex on 12021 South Memorial Parkway, will serve warm mini donuts with toppings ranging from honey and graham cracker, peanut butter and jelly, strawberry and whipped cream, and Nutella and sprinkles. Ooh, that sounds good. Made from dough.
Made from dough with fresh Sasquatch urine.
Has this article been nominated for a Pulitzer yet?
Made from dough shipped in bulk from a Minneapolis company, the small fried cakes will be cooked to order, sprinkled with cinnamon sugar, and tailored to each customer's liking.
Typically how donuts work.
That's exactly how they work. Natalie, a Chattanooga native and former elementary school teacher, met Brian nearly 3 years ago. During Brian's weekend trips to visit Natalie in Chattanooga, the couple would spend time together visiting area farmers markets and tasting the Tennessee food truck cuisine. We've always joked about how cool it would be to operate one, but we never really gave it a whole lot of thought, Brian said.
Is this like the first food truck in their town or something?
Yes, I've always wanted to travel around and check out those packaged sandwiches that have sat out in the sun all day.
Next week, Chupacabra Tacos is opening.
We got married about a year ago, and that's when we really started entertaining the idea. As Huntsville's zoning ordinance on food trucks became more relaxed, the newlyweds began researching the local food truck scene. The couple finally determined that a donut trailer that caters mostly to the breakfast crowd was a niche that needed to be filled in Huntsville.
Finally, we don't need a food handler's permit.
And in our final story tonight, from mentalfloss.com, Corn Flakes were invented as a part of an anti-masturbation crusade.
Bullshit.
In the 18th and 19th centuries, the Western world worked itself up into a mass hissy fit over the idea of people touching themselves.
Mass hysteria over mass masturbation.
Judeo-Christian tradition had already been damning masturbation as a misuse of sexuality for ages.
How can we stop all this self-gratifying pleasuring? I know, a breakfast cereal.
But Victorian era prudishness and the Great Awakening of other religious revivals in America created a perfect storm for people to really get obsessed with it. Books like the anonymously authored Ononia, or The Heinous Sin of Self-Pollution and All Its Frightful Consequences, and Samuel Tissot's Treatise of the Disease Produced by Onanism, which
you
is...
forgot Jack Mehoff's, "Hey kid, don't do that or your pee-pee will fall off."
Onanism is another word for masturbation. Those books laid the groundwork for medicalizing the solitary vice. Soon, masturbation was no longer just a normal failing, but also a physical and mental ailment that required treatment and cure.
I'm going to cure you of your ailment.
Eat this cereal.
In the young United States, one of the most ardent anti-masturbators was a Michigan physician named John Harvey Kellogg. The good doctor was a bit uncomfortable about sex, thinking it was detrimental to physical, emotional, and spiritual well-being. He personally abstained from it and never consummated his marriage.
That thing between your legs, that nice, warm, great place. I'm never gonna go there.
Did you say he never consummated his marriage?
That's what we're saying, yes.
Matt. And he may have actually spent his honeymoon working on one of his anti-sex books. He and his wife kept separate bedrooms and adopted all of their children. Sex with your wife was bad, but masturbation was even worse.
And Mrs. Kellogg made the first dildo.
If illicit commerce of the sexes is a heinous sin, Kellogg wrote, self-pollution is a crime doubly abominable. In Plain Facts for Old and Young, Embracing the Natural History and Hygiene of Organic Life, he cataloged 39 different symptoms of a person plagued by masturbation, including general infirmity, defective development, mood swings, fickleness, bashfulness, boldness, bad posture, stiff joints, fondness for spicy foods, acne, palpitations, and
fondness
epilepsy.
For spicy foods?
Yes, causes masturbation, apparently. Kellogg's solution to all this suffering was a healthy diet.
Blandness.
He thought that meat and certain flavorful or seasoned foods increased sexual desire, and that plainer food, especially cereals and nuts, could curb it. While working as the superintendent at Michigan's Battle Creek Sanitarium, he hit upon a few different healthy eating ideas. 2 became breakfast staples, and 1 thankfully didn't. Early in his tenure at the sanitarium, Kellogg created a health treat for the patients that consisted of oatmeal and cornmeal baked into biscuits and then ground into tiny pieces. He called it Granula. This was maybe the worst name imaginable since a very similar product with the exact same name was already being made and sold by James Caleb Jackson, another dietary reformer. Under the threat of lawsuit, Kellogg changed the name of his creation to granola. Another of Kellogg's dietary innovations, developed to ensure clean intestines, was an enema machine that ran water through the bowel and then followed it with a pint of yogurt, half delivered through the mouth and the other half through the anus. So this one didn't really catch on.
This guy that was so against sex with his wife invented a machine that squirted yogurt up his ass.
And in his mouth.
I think I have figured out the problem here.
Later, Kellogg. I'll get through this, I promise. Later, Kellogg developed a few different grain cereals.
Kellogg developed an affinity for the magazine Honcho.
Later, Kellogg added a second hose to his machine.
Including Corn Flakes, as healthy,
off of a svelte young man.
As healthy, ready-to-eat, anti-masturbatory morning meals. He partnered with his brother Will, the sanitarium's bookkeeper, to make and sell them to the public. No. Will had less interest in dietary purity and
his logo is a giant cock.
Will had I lost my place when you said cock. Will had less interest in dietary purity and more business sense than his brother, and worried that the products wouldn't sell as they were. He wanted to add sugar to the flakes to make them more palatable, but John wouldn't hear of it. Will eventually started selling the cereals through his own business, which became the Kellogg Company. The brothers continued to feud for decades after. Masturbators who enjoy Corn Flakes can probably attest that the sugar was a good idea, since Kellogg cereal doesn't really have its intended effect.
Yeah, since every time you eat Corn Flakes, you pile a bunch of sugar on top of it, and then go jack off.
That's what I do.
While cereals and yogurt enemas might have kept most people in line, Kellogg also supported more extreme measures. Stuff that would get your medical license revoked today and lead to many lawsuits for people with particularly nasty masturbation habits. For boys, he suggested threading silver wire. What? For boys, he suggested threading silver wire through the foreskin to prevent erections and cause irritation. Yikes.
Huh?
Oh.
Yikes.
That's a bit of a jump from Corn Flakes, isn't it?
For girls, he advocated and sometimes employed an application of carbolic acid to the clitoris to burn it and discourage touching it. Yikes. Yeah. Okay.
I want to take a moment of silence.
Never eating Corn Flakes again.
Corn Flakes used to be my favorite. That is the news, fellas. Holy cow.
I need a cool down period for this. That was the most amazing news story we've ever done.
I
had no idea.
I'm glad I kept that one quiet from you there, Matt.
Can you just imagine some sweaty guy in a trench coat at a grocery store? Will that be all, sir? Just give me the fucking Corn Flakes.
Try to keep from touching my dick.
And you know there's probably some weird fetish couple out there that is like into smearing cornflakes all over their naked bodies.
Yeah.
People are going to listen to this and try to fucking buy that machine.
Yogurt up your ass. Yikes. I, for one, love cornflakes, but it hasn't curbed any of my masturbation habits.
Yeah.